And now, podcasting from the sun-scorched desert Southwest, weighing in at a combined total of 340 pounds, Brad Winchester, Tyler McDowell-Blanken, are Gimmick Infringement.
Welcome, everybody, to the Gimmick Infringement Podcast. I am Brad Winchester, and with me, as always, is my tag team partner, Tyler McDowell-Blanken. Tyler, Forbidden Door 2023 has ended. What a week of professional wrestling. More to come this week. How you doing tonight?
I am doing so well, man. What a week. What a life. What a show. Yeah, lots of great this week. Personally, wrestling-wise. Yeah, man, all is well here. I can't wait to get your thoughts on everything, but I got to know how you're doing first.
Doing really well. I did. Ironically, the squirrel killer came in this week. It is massive. It is way heavier than I thought it would be, which is good because Freya can't hold it. No chance that she's ever going to get into it. So feeling really good about that. And I believe the squirrel left. So now
Success.
I just have a pelican. So, however, I keep getting pelted with dried, crusty bird poo because we have like a nest or something on top of the roof, and they just poop up there, and it falls directly on the patio. It's the only side of the house they're on. For some reason, they hang out just on the patio, over the patio. Could it go to the other side? I'd never even know they were there. But they're disgusting, and there may be some dove removal happening pretty soon. So we'll see. It may still get some good use in the backyard, and hopefully nothing else. Hopefully no snakes like we saw at that restaurant a while back. But Tyler, I know this is not interesting to most people. I think you had a really interesting week. You want to tell the people about it?
Oh, for sure, man. Yeah, absolutely. And thank you not only for that update, but for the righteous selfie you sent me of yourself with said item. And it was something else.
It went into the closet and I haven't touched it since.
It was good. Yeah, whenever I get a notification that says Brad Winchester attachment 1 image, I don't know what I'm signing up for. And this happened to be one that I will remember for the rest of summer. It was just you ready to go to war with this squirrel. And it was really a highlight of my week. Something else that was a highlight of my week. Yeah, thank you for kind of lobbing the ball up to me for me to jam it down here. So I was super fortunate, blessed even, to attend this really cool conference for work. It was the 9th annual Arizona Association of Black School Educators. Really long acronym. The event was super great, though. So every summer, there's a teacher leadership summit. That's the official name of this title. Of this conference, I should say. So Teacher Leader Summit. And it just brought together lots of teachers, primarily Black teachers and other school officials and school leaders for this 2-day conference, kind of assessing the current state of education, how we can improve practices and policies for the ever-changing needs of students. And in my case, I was more so representing the workplace. So I was representing Teachers College at ASU, and my job was more so to table and mingle and network. And so I shared with you offline, Brad, that I had the honor of meeting Arizona's first Black superintendent, Dr. Russell Jackson. On day 1 of the conference, he was given a shout out and, sort of stood up, and total dignitary vibes. So people clapped for him, etc. And then on day 2, I was just sitting at the table in the morning, and he actually came over and struck up a conversation, and we chopped it up for maybe 20 to 30 minutes. And so I was just like, oh my gosh, I'm like speaking with a legit living legend right now. And he wanted to talk to me. It wasn't like I was fanboying over him, which would have been totally appropriate because he's an OG, but he actually came over to me and wanted to know about me. And then I was able to ask him about his time in Arizona and what it was like to move here when there were so many communities that were segregated. So yeah, man, it was an absolute honor. It was such a blast. And I've shared some other ideas that I have with you about, maybe where some of that networking that I was able to engage with could go. So I felt really inspired. I felt just like I said, very honored to share space with such beautiful, brilliant people. So if you haven't already, if you're at all interested, check it out. Again, the acronym is AZABSE. I think it's .org. They're doing really great work. And if you happen to be in the field of education in Arizona, please, please, please support them.
Yeah, that's amazing. They got to find a better. They got to find a better acronym.
It's a lot. It's a lot.
A lot.
I'm 90% sure I got it right. It's lengthy for sure.
Well, if you remember what it is, then it's not very difficult to figure out. It's actually easier to remember the words than to remember what the letters are. So yeah, it doesn't spell anything that's like catchy. It's not NASA. It's not something that rolls off the tongue quite easily. Even though NASA is the word, and it's not something else. It's not. I can't even think of anything right. Even NASCAR is easier to remember. But if they come up with something, got to talk to the branding folks over there
for sure.
But they're doing great work. I saw pictures from the conference. You sent me the website, and I was checking out all the people that were there, invited, keynote speaker, all the people involved. Pretty incredible looking group, pretty incredible bona fides in there too. A lot of educated people in there. All for that terrific common cause. And I'm glad you were able to attend, and it sounds like you came away with a lot.
Yeah, man. Thank you. Mayor Kate Gallego, the mayor of Phoenix, was there.
Nice.
Governor Katie Hobbs was in the building. I actually got a photo with her. I didn't tell you that.
Oh, wow.
So they ended up, they being the organizers, wanted to get the ASU and U of A people together for a quick photo with Governor Hobbs. And so we got that. And I think I spotted like at least 2 women that I want to have a crush on at some point. It was just a great situation, man. Just beautiful, brilliant, passionate people were in the house, and I really felt like an adult because business cards were exchanged, and man, it was a really, really cool opportunity. I really thought it brought together sort of the past, the present, and the future of Black educators in Arizona. So yeah, man, that was for sure a highlight of the week. And I can't wait to hopefully attend the 10th annual next summer.
That's pretty great. Speaking of annual events, we just watched the 2nd annual Forbidden Door. This was a good pay-per-view, Tyler. This was really good. This was loaded. We had high expectations going in. I don't know if you feel like your expectations were met, exceeded, what they were, because we also had one less match. Adam Cole, struggling or battling an illness, did not fight Dirty Tom Lawler tonight. He, however, was in a match that got put together kind of last second. We were all, I was excited to see it. I wanted to see it, but I also don't know that I needed to see it. And I'm thankful for the earlier end time. Another 25 minutes, I probably would have been pretty tired. I thought lengthwise, this was the right length. Even the crowd seemed a little fatigued by the end of the show. Especially toward the finish of that match, it looked like they had petered out pretty good, even though we watched a heck of a main event. It sounded like the crowd sort of petered out. What are your overall thoughts about Forbidden Door?
Really fun show. I agree with you about the overall length. I saw that 9 o'clock was creeping up on us. At first I thought, oh my gosh, the show is flying. Maybe they'll be done by 8:30. But then as we got closer to 9, I was a little concerned that it was going to go over 4 hours, but it certainly did not. Fun show. I don't know if this is a controversial take, Brad, but I enjoyed the inaugural edition a bit more than this one. Eager to hear your thoughts on that. But overall, really enjoyable. Lots of standout performances that I know we'll get into. But I would choose Forbidden Door Volume 1 over this one.
It's tough to say because I don't really remember Forbidden Door Volume 1 all that much. Like there's stuff that happened during it that I was like, oh, this is great. But overall, I can't really. There were so many injuries that the Orange Cassidy match was the match of the night. That was the one thing. I think that was the start of his real run, right? Like that was when we were like, okay, if people haven't been paying attention, this dude is a really good wrestler because he wrestled Will, right? That Forbidden Door one.
It really was. Before he got the title, this was I think a real turning point for him, and how a lot of the fan base viewed him. Like he's not just a gimmick wrestler. This dude actually has the the bona fides, as my father would say. He has the bona fides in ring to go against anyone.
Yeah, and I think that showed at that event, but otherwise, we had was it Moxley and Tanahashi? I think finally
Yeah.
that one had been brewing for a long time. Mox has been trying to fight him forever. Finally got to, which I think was great. Wasn't supposed to be him. It was probably going to be CM Punk. And then we did have Tanahashi wrestle. He's always in competition for championships in AEW. Is annual tradition of Tanahashi fighting the champ. I kind of, I don't know how to feel about it. Was the Owen decided at Forbidden Door? I can't remember. Or was that at All Out?
Oh, was that All Out?
Okay. I don't know. The hype.
I mean, this year had so much more star power.
I was much
you
more
you would think that this year would be the clear choice just based on the card and, like you said, the amount of injured wrestlers who were now able to compete. But I last year felt a bit more special to me. Maybe it was just sort of the glitz and glamour of it being the first. Maybe I'm kind of clinging on to that as opposed to the actual, how the matches happen. But something about the first just felt a little more special to me.
I totally understand, because like if you look at Rob Van Dam beating John Cena for the title, is that show better than the first one night stand?
No. No. But that's the moment, right?
The card is better and the wrestling was better.
Yeah.
But that show was not better. I'd go watch that first one more and more. I'd choose that one every single time over the second one, simply because the passion, the energy, the expectation, the nostalgia was all fueling that. And then last year we got this dream pay-per-view event. This year it was like, okay, last year was the dream. Now it's the dream matches. So the event itself didn't feel as special.
That's a bar. That's a great way to put it.
But I don't know. I don't know that we, oh man, the start of the show, not counting the pre-show, which I will be watching at some other point. At some serious technical difficulties around here. MJF and Tanahashi, I saw that match and it was fine. I didn't think it was a great match. I didn't think it was a bad match. It was fine. I don't know how many people were like, I can't wait to see MJF fight Tanahashi. I don't think anybody had any question how it was going to end. MJF was going to do some kind of tomfoolery, going to win. I looked at Chuck before the match started. He's like, he's going to punch him with a ring. And then lo and behold, CM Punk and Kojima. I thought it was a good match. I liked CM Punk leaning into stuff. I liked a lot of it. It was fun. Didn't need it. I didn't really care about it. CM Punk and Kojima, I don't really care. It also felt like, well, let's put this together because Kenta fell through. So it was there. It was entertaining. It was a good match. I'm glad I saw it. I'm glad they got to have that matchup. I think it was a special moment for the two talent involved. I'm sure MJF is actually a Tanahashi fan. I don't know how anybody in the wrestling business is going to be like, Tanahashi. Like, there are very few American wrestlers in different promotions that get to wrestle that man. I think that he probably went home feeling really great, even though he was saying terrible, terrible things about New Japan Pro Wrestling. But as far as the card overall, I thought the rest of it was great. I can't really remember Forbidden Door 1.
Yeah.
Is there anything in particular you feel like is that? I'm not sure.
Yeah, as you were kind of diving into the opener, MJF versus Tanahashi, you really helped me determine why this card, or why this show perhaps didn't live up to the first one. Some of the finishes I really had an issue with. MJF versus Tanahashi. To your point, Brad, while it wasn't surprising that MJF was going to win via tomfoolery, or I was going to say tomfoolish means. Is that a word? Tomfoolish?
No, but I love it.
That's not a thing. Tomfoolery. I'm glad you love it. We know that's what he's done, right? Nearly for all of his wins, with or without the title. But for some reason, that just felt really flat to me that ref couldn't see. He hit him with the dynamite ring and it was over. Again, not surprising, but I I wanted to defy logic and have MJF win clean, I guess. So I think I set myself up for some failure with my expectations. We saw that a little bit later. Toni Storm versus Willow Nightingale. Kind of similar, right? In that Willow kind of rakes Toni rakes Willow's eyes, Storm Zero Jones, and then it's over. And maybe that was present on the first card. Maybe I just don't remember Volume 1 that well. But for me, some of the finishes left me feeling the type of way tonight. I still enjoyed it, though, to be clear. But to compare 1 to 2, I think this is part of what left me feeling a little in my feelings.
I'm looking right now at the matches. Moxley and Tanahashi closing the night felt like a little bit of a come down. For Forbidden.
I wouldn't disagree.
We had Minoru Suzuki and La Sex Gods beating Eddie Kingston, Shota Umino, Shooter, and Wheeler Yuta for the advantage in Blood and Guts. That
match was really fun. Really fun. I remember that.
And then we had the 3-way tag, I think it was. It was FTR, United Empire, and Roppongi Vice, which I thought was pretty good. But the match, man, it was for the All Atlantic. We had Pac, Miro, Malachi Black, and Clark Connors.
I've seen that.
Remember?
I saw that dude live at a pickleball court in Mesa, Arizona. Let's go. That is why I have so much affinity for Volume 1. There you go. You nailed it.
We also had Dudes with Attitudes defeating the Bullet Club.
Yep.
That was Darby, Sting, and Shingo.
Yep.
That was the Thunder Rosa defeated Toni Storm.
Yes. Yeah.
That was the beginning right there. And then we had the Orange Cassidy Will Ospreay and the surprise debut for Zack Sabre Jr., Claudio Castagnoli. That was the debut of Claudio in AEW.
Yeah, because Bryan Danielson was injured. Mm-hmm,
yep.
Mm-hmm.
And then Jay White beat Hangman Adam Page, Okada, and Adam Cole. That was when Adam Cole and Jay White were whatever. They were pals still because of the Bullet Club stuff. And then Mox and Tana. So I think there were maybe bigger moments because there were bigger stakes. I don't know that anybody the stakes for Will and Kenny tonight, it was a title belt. But I don't think anybody cared about the title. That was a prop, right? That was an absolute prop, even for the people that were like, I hope he wins the belt. We just wanted to see the match. We were just ready for the match. So the stakes there didn't really matter. It was who's going to win mattered more than the belt, where last year it was like, who's going to win the first belt? Who's going to win that All Atlantic, now international belt? I don't think anybody thought that Sonata was going to lose to Jungle Boy, but we got what we wanted. We'll get into that, I'm sure. I was actually shocked Orange Cassidy retained. Toni Storm versus Willow Nightingale. I love Willow, but no way. Absolutely no way that was going to happen. And you're right. There was a lot more, I want to say overbooking, but there was overbooking, right? There was a lot of stuff. There was a lot of dirty stuff throughout the night, which I don't remember last year. I'm sure it happened, but I don't remember like this year. It's a great point.
Yeah. Yeah, no, man, I appreciate it. And what you said, or I guess what you shared just reminded me that I'm going to stay firm in my position. Number one was better, Brad. You laid it out. Last year's was really incredible, but there was a lot to be applauded tonight. The second match on the card, as you mentioned earlier, was CM Punk defeating Kojima in the opener for the men's Owen Hart Cup. This was really good. This is also really noteworthy because we are clearly getting heel CM Punk. I think we already saw that this is going to happen based on the ending of Collision, right? Like seeing CM Punk in an away game scenario outside of Chicago. It's clear that not only is this going to be a thing that he's going to be booed, but he is sort of, I think, rejoicing in the boos. He's ready for this. Tonight, actually seeing him for the first time back in a one-on-one contest and playing up this heel persona was a blast. It was one of my favorite matches on the card.
I thought they had great chemistry. It's just, I honestly, until it was over and they're like CM Punk's advancing in the Owen, I was like, oh, I forgot that was even that.
You forgot that was a stake. Yeah.
I forgot it was even a thing.
It's a thing.
Like, and I forgot again, obviously I already forgot there's no stakes. And I was like, oh, there are stakes. I just the guy Kojima wasn't going to advance. That was never going to happen.
Great flexing of his pecs though. That was
Incredible.
That was extended and impressive.
The man built those on bread. He loves him.
And then CM Punk did it right after. There were a lot of really good moments in this. Very pro wrestling
match. It was a great pro wrestling match. Yeah, you've convinced me that it was a much better. I got to go back and watch it. In fairness, I was really pissed off when I was watching this. I had to watch it in pieces.
I know you were.
So in total fairness, I probably gave that an unfair look because of the internet situation around here. I think there's going to be some TP-Link wireless mesh routers that are going to be paying for this tomorrow. I'll citing in a particular pellet gun. We also had Orange Cassidy defeating Zack Sabre Jr. and Shibata and Daniel Garcia. The Daniel Garcia dancing, so much of it. There was so much of it.
What's your temperature on that right now? Are you just the perfect amount? Too much? Not enough?
Today was way too much.
Okay.
But I love it when he does it. I love it when he does it.
Me too. It's a thing.
Huge pop. Having him do it that much was like, all right, now stop. By the time he did it the third time, I was like, all right, please stop.
Yeah. It's kind of like Penta's taunt.
Oh man, yeah,
yeah. It's
awesome.
It's creeping up on that, right?
Yeah, definitely. Like you don't need to do it 4 times in a match, and I know when you put your hand down, you're going to push him in the face. Come on, Penta. But I like that he was getting hit. And then he would do the dance, and then he'd get hit, and then he'd do it anyway. That popped me. I also love that they were just straight up ignoring him because they wanted to beat the piss out of each other. I thought that was awesome. Continue that story from New Japan. Continue that rivalry, but also Daniel Garcia was like, "No, fight me. I'm better than both of you," and they just knocked the crap out of him. Which is why I thought he's winning. He's definitely winning this. He's the only one that walked in without gold or silver or bronze or whatever colors those were. He is the only one that doesn't currently hold gold. I thought this might be how Orange loses. I thought maybe he pins one of the other guys, but Orange retaining keeps everybody and the belt safe. It protects all of them. So it made sense that Daniel Garcia ate the pin. It still looked awesome in the match, and B, everybody came away looking strong. I think everybody looked good in this match. This match was a ton of fun. I don't know if this is bordering on my favorite match of the night right here. Yeah, it was such a good match. It was a lot of fun.
It's funny you say that. I was just thinking. I was already kind of calculating in my mind, what am I going to say next? Specifically about how I rank this match on the card. It's for sure top 3 favorite for me. Yes. Maybe even number 2. This was so fun. I actually thought OC was going to retain, so the ending didn't necessarily surprise me in that regard. In my mind, in my heart, Swerve is still the dude to beat Orange Cassidy. That
they have good chemistry too. I want to see that again. That needs to be the all-out match, right? That's got to be it.
Yeah. I think Swerve is that dude, and all out would be certainly the appropriate time. Wouldn't be mad at Daniel Garcia getting a taste at the international title. But yeah, the ending didn't surprise me, but that did not by any means take away from my enjoyment of this match. This was so fun. I thought the 4 of these guys had great chemistry. The crowd was super into it. All of them are so different from each other that it worked really, really well.
There were so many different styles there. I loved it so much. When the match was over, shout out to Chuck, my father-in-law came over and watched it with me. He was like, that I don't know who that guy that looks like Brett. That's how we describe him.
Uncle Brett.
Yep. Uncle Brett. He's going to have some kind of reconstructive surgery on his hand. He thought Zack Sabre Jr. just annihilated his hand for real. He's like, I don't care if that's fake. He definitely got hurt doing that.
Shout out Chuck. Love that for him. Love that for you. Love that for him.
I thought it was great because he legit, Zack Sabre Jr. is unbelievable in the ring. And I'm glad more people got to see it. Because we got to see it a little bit last year, but it was Claudio teeing off on him. And unless you watch his stuff in New Japan, I don't know that people are catching it. Or unless you catch his stuff that he's done in Ring of Honor, I don't know that people are catching it. So I'm really happy that he got to have that spotlight, because the Zack Sabre Jr. Brian Danielson match is going to happen at some point. and it's going to be special.
Yeah, no doubt. Can't wait.
So the next match up, Jungle Boy Jack Perry, who is probably just going to be Jack Perry going forward, or 90210 Jack Perry. Who knows what happens here? Loses to Sonata, a 10-minute match. So a lot of people online were down on this, and I don't really know why. I was fine. I thought it was a good match. I thought it was fun. It was short. It was about the amount of time that it probably needed to be, and I thought Jungle Boy looked pretty good, and he lost to a champion who is twice his size. I don't really have anything to say about the match.
Yeah, big facts. Somehow, luckily, I missed the hate on the timeline, or maybe not hate. Hate's a strong word, but perhaps the criticism you alluded to, Brad. This match for me was all about what happened after. We knew Sonata was winning. I really, really enjoy Jungle Boy Jack Perry's work, but after the match was the real money. Were you worked like me? Because I thought they were going to wait to do this on Dynamite based on the way they shot it, where Hook was picking up Jungle Boy, then they went to the commentary team, and then they did that really well.
What's really funny, because I started walking away and I was trying to get dinner ready.
Of course, yeah. Match was over.
It was over. It was like, the music is playing like for a really long time, and then it stopped, and I was like, well, I'm hanging out here because Chuck was like, well, what are you doing? I'm like, well, the music stopped, and that usually means somebody's going to pop out or something's going to happen. And then like 5 seconds later, Jungle Boy teed off on Hook, and I was like, there we go. It finally happened. We finally got heel. And then I loved CM Punk played with it a little bit, and then Jungle Boy did it very obviously when he went to the tunnel, started going right, and then veered off and went left. I was like, oh, this is awesome.
Yep.
We finally have it. It's official. Heel Jack Perry, here for it. Looks like he's coming after the FTW championship, which would be a good one for him to have first, I think, in AEW. And then it gives Hook something else to do. And I think that feud is going to rule. Those two are going to have a great match. So I'm looking forward to that. I think they already have really good chemistry because they've been in the ring with each other a lot. They're about the same age. They're about the same size. That match is going to be great. And I'm here for heel Jack Perry because I don't know what it's going to look like. I don't know what it's going to sound like. Right. Do you think heel Jack Perry is like, yeah, I get it, Christian, you were right. Like who knows?
Right. And MJF as well. Part of MJF's message to Perry leading into the Pillars 4-way was, hey, you're too nice. You need to be more like me, cut corners. Then you can become a champion. And I think he's going to lean into, these dudes, although they might be scumbags, they were right. And this is going to get me gold.
They both have gold right now. So
they both, amen. And they both have gold right now. I like what you said about their potential chemistry. To me, this serves two purposes. One, it's a great turn for Jack Perry's character. It's something new that we haven't seen. And two, I don't know that we've seen Hook in an extended one-on-one battle before. So to me, this has all the signs of this being Hook's first singles match on a main pay-per-view card. Can't wait for them to lock up whenever that is. I also got to give a shout out to Taz. Having him on commentary and him leaning into the crowd chants where the crowd was chanting at Perry, you effed up. And then Taz saying, you hear what they're saying? They're on to something. They are not wrong. I forget his exact words, but him acknowledging the fact that we all know Hook is my kid. We know he's a badass like me. And Jack Perry, you done messed up.
I can't wait for this.
Can't wait.
I kind of can't wait to see how he reacts. That Jungle Boy is going to be doing something. They're probably going to give him a promo this week. He's going to get booed out of the building, I think, or he's going to get cheered because he's a heel now, and that's what we want. But I don't know if that's going to happen. I don't know that casual. I would love to know. My guess is that if you're listening to this, you are not a casual fan. You are not here because you're like, oh, it's on my television screen. I may as well watch this. I don't think that's for you. If you're here listening to this, thank you for your support. Thank you for being here. Thank you for watching. If you're on YouTube, I don't think that's for you. So I don't know if the casual fan's like, oh my gosh, I can't believe Jungle Boy did this. Because we're all like, oh, thank God he needed to change. Right. So the people that we have discourse with over this might be people that also agree with it. I don't know what the casual fan thinks about this. So it'll be interesting to see how they react to him when he shows up in an arena and it's just Jungle Boy, but he's Jungle Boy no more. Which good.
What's his music going to be? The music has been so synonymous with his identity. Yeah. You got to assume they're cutting that
90210 theme. Got to be.
It might be.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. Or maybe he'll tell him to turn it off. They'll play the music, and then he'll come out, and then he'll just be like, "Shut up! Stop waving your arms around." He'll do one of those to start, just to get heat, and then that's my prediction. Hopefully that happens on Dynamite. They might keep us waiting, but hopefully that happens this week. In any case, when you cut in that promo, Action Bronson's going to hit the sky, and Hook's going to be charging the ring. I don't think he'll run. He'll probably just fast walk.
For sure.
Bring him some chips.
Yeah. There's man, this is going to be a rivalry that I'm really looking forward to this summer. It's going to be really great.
Yeah, as far as the match goes, I thought the match was great. Short, not my favorite by far, but like it didn't deserve the hate that I saw online. None of these matches, all these matches were good. It's just when you're measuring it against great, it's really difficult to go like this. So when I'm thinking about those first two matches, if they were on a different show, I'd probably be like, that was one of the best matches I've seen. It was definitely the best match of the night, but you throw it on there with all this other stuff. I mean, man, on paper, the next match, 10-man tag, man, what a match. I thought this was a blast as well. Holy cow, this was great. Eddie was amazing. I love that there's a shot. It was a really quick shot when Claudio was coming through the crowd when they were entering, of Eddie being held back from jumping out of the ring to try to go fight Claudio because he could see him from like 80 yards away. It's just, I love the hate so much. I love the interactions. I love that Eddie took the bullet for John to the face just to save him from a super kick party, right? Isn't that what it was?
Mm-hmm. That's right.
They kicked Eddie's head off. I thought all of this was great. I loved Ishii and Takeshita, or Takeshita as it was done the other night, or Takeshita or whatever it was. Rough, but Takeshita and Ishii was amazing. Those two just running into each other at full steam. Ishii like does this thing where I feel like he convinces everybody that he's just hobbling around out there and he looks like he can't move at all. And then when you see him do his little stretches with his legs in the beginning of the match, you're like, oh, that dude is agile as hell. That is a shape of a person that should not be able to move like a gazelle like that. The dude is fast and strong and mobile, and he looks like none of those things.
For sure. It's pretty jarring.
Yes, it's bonkers. Crazy strong. The more I think about this match, the more I love this match, Tyler.
Oh, me too. This is in contention for my top three. We mentioned the four-way earlier, and this was right up there. I so enjoyed this. I'm again convinced that the Young Bucks are my favorite tag team ever. Anytime they're in a match, whether it's singles or trios or five-way, they just always look so good, and I always just feel entertained when I watch these guys. I also love this match because the finish surprised me. I thought for sure Blackpool Combat Club was winning. 100. I know we didn't do an official predictions this time, but 100% certainty the heels were going to walk away victorious. So when Ishii hit the sheer drop,
the brain
buster on our poor Wheeler Yuta, who got the win at the last pay-per-view, right? Didn't he pin Kenny Omega? And now I think he's been pinned a couple of times. So with Wheeler getting pinned by Ishii, I was really surprised, which just further made me appreciate this match even more. So this absolutely ruled. All the performers crushed it. I know it's a really loaded ring, but like you said, Brad, the stories that were being told within it were also spectacular. Is Kingston in? Is he out? Is he still struggling with his friendship versus Moxley? The chop off they had, the rise of Takeshita being an absolute star. Claudio second Forbidden Door. I mean, this was just absolute money. Hangman looked great. Yeah, this was absolutely a high point for me on the show.
I'm kind of ready for, maybe they're building toward this. I don't know, but I need Blackpool Combat Club to go like, Wheeler, you've lost. You've taken the pin two matches in a row, 3 matches, whatever it is in a row for us. If you do it again, you're out. I need Wheeler to be back babyface on his own. because I feel like he's lost all of the steam, very much like Daniel Garcia did with the Yaz, when he was like, he had the whole crowd, the world was behind him, and they sort of killed it, and then he disappeared for a while. And he's even had the Pure Championship, and I still think he disappeared with that. Nobody really cared. And now he's coming back out again. He's coming back around again. And I think we're getting to see it because he's doing these other matches. But Daniel Garcia is obviously, he could be on his own doing really great things. Wheeler Yuta, I don't know if he could be on his own doing really great things, but he had all of that momentum. And I think being embraced by the Blackpool Combat Club was great for his character. But now we're at a point where it's when you're in there with the other guys, you have Moxley, Claudio, and Danielson, kind of shooter, I guess. I don't know that he's ever going to be able to be the standout guy unless they put him in a position to be the standout guy. And if you're not having them, and I know he's had a couple of singles matches where like Claudio's been on the outside. It's usually Claudio and Wheeler. And they've done some hard coaching with him in the past, where he's yelling at him on the outside and stuff, slapping him around to get him fired up. But I don't know that him just being the guy to eat the pin over and over and over again in a group with people with much bigger history and towering personas is doing him any favors to try to stand out in a very crowded AEW crowd now. So I would like to see him go back to doing the singles thing. Plus, I like his theme. I think it's cool with the sword sound.
The swords, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's awesome.
For sure. I think he's about one more loss away from being sent back to the desert. You remember that Danielson tweet where they said, we made this dude, what was it? He wasn't doing a handstand. He was doing some sort of stretch, or he had to hold some sort of pose in the desert as repentance for his failures. Yeah. I think he's about one loss away from heading back to the desert, joining us out here, man. He's got to tread lightly.
Yeah, but I, like you, I was surprised by the finish. I felt a little bad for Wheeler, but I thought this was great. I doubt he cared getting pinned by Ishii. Ishii rules, so it was a lot of fun, and I like that everybody was holding on to the other men on the outside. I thought that was great. Always a good touch when they do that. Our next match was one of my favorite matches, and again, not a lot of people like this match, and I don't get it. A bloodied Tony Storm defeated Willow Nightingale. The only thing I'll say is that I didn't love the finish of the match, only because it wasn't clean, but it's heel work, whatever. But when it's an event this big, I kind of want to see a cleaner finish. This match was great, and technically it would be a Forbidden Door match since Willow holds New Japan Gold. But ultimately, this was really a Forbidden Door match. This is like a Dynamite main event or a Rampage or Collision main event, whatever. It's something I would want to see, but I don't know that it didn't really have that same kind of star power. And this is probably the biggest knock on the event this year, last year, going forward. They need to incorporate, New Japan needs to incorporate their female wrestlers into this event, or B, Stardom needs to be directly involved. I know there was another event though happening concurrently with this in Stardom, so it's almost impossible to get their talent over here. But when you have talent that are in Stardom and also holding like the New Japan Women's Championship, like that Mercedes Moné won, and subsequently lost. When you have that, and that's supposed to be your main show, main promotion belt for women, and it's not being represented internationally, what are you doing that's doing your promotions any favors? So I would like to see that on there, because we really only got the one women's match, and it was with talent that work in AEW. So I didn't love that aspect of it. However, I like this match. Excited to see hip attacks. Excited to see a Willow pounce. I thought it was fun. I loved Ruby. It was like she got punched or got stung by something when she got kicked out, flailing on the floor and just screaming. I loved all the overacting that was happening. It was so good. I really liked this. I thought this was a ton of fun.
Yeah, she, meaning Ruby, is an outstanding actress. Pronouns, yes. Pal. I actually was able to watch all the episodes of All Access through that Max service.
Yes.
And Ruby is great. I think a lot of what we see on All Access is scripted, like the ongoing rivalry between her and Ty.
Yes.
I know some of that was, again, it's wrestling, so it's kind of you're using entertainment, but also some things that may be true under the surface. But what you said is accurate, Brad. Ruby selling, getting thrown out was was super entertaining. You got to wonder if Mercedes was healthy. I think for sure she was going to be on that card. I believe there are also reports. Yeah. So
Tony and Mercedes would have been
money, pun intended, I suppose. Yeah. I mean, it would have been a huge match. I even think it would have been on the poster. It wouldn't have just been the 4 dudes on the poster. A Mercedes match, whether against Tony or, dare I say, Jamie Hayter. Again, if injuries weren't. Could you imagine? Are we
injected right into my veins?
Just the salivating of having those two square off. I mean, that's.
I would love for that to happen at Wembley.
Yes, please.
That would make a ton of sense, right? Like that's Jamie Hayter, maybe in a triple threat. Jamie Hayter, Tony Storm, Mercedes Moné.
Goodness.
That main event.
Let's get to 100,000 tickets sold, please. Yeah, I mean, you know how I feel about the end of this match. It definitely took away of my overall enjoyment for it. I love both of these competitors, but I would not put this in my top 3 or sort of upper echelon of the card, largely because of that. However, what I will say is I'm super happy that Toni Storm is getting the second run with the belt.
Yes.
Super happy she won, even if
as champion, not interim.
Nope. Even if by nefarious means, but I know we're not supposed to like the outcast. But I also want to give Willow her flowers. That's not new for us. But when I tell you, Brad, seeing her on Collision lately, and then tonight, and the entrance, and how anywhere they go, any state, any country, nope. Arizona, we saw that firsthand. Illinois, Canada, she is just so over, and she's really now. I think I'm as high as her on anyone in wrestling. I just think she is the absolute total package. When she puts down the straps and goes into full beast mode, I just think this is a face of your company. I'm as high on her as anyone on AEW's roster or WWE. I love myself some Willow Nightingale. I think she deserves the world, and I just don't think there's any flaw in her game. So yeah, I think the sky's the limit for both of these talent, especially kind of forecasting what the rest of the year could look like. I think they're going to do huge things for AEW.
Willow Nightingale is consistently the biggest pop in any stadium, arena, whatever it is. It doesn't matter, man.
It's a huge. That's a huge deal. What you just said, huge.
Yeah. It really is, because she's so fresh. Like she came in. Remember, she came in like we didn't know who she was, really, and then the music hit, and we were like, "All right, this is fun. I don't understand this at all. This is so much fun." And then she's just smiling and having a good time, and then she just yeeted somebody across the ring. I think it might have been somebody turned me on to Dark on Twitter. And she was on there, and I was like, "Oh, she's kind of awesome." And then suddenly she's on the main roster, and the next thing you know, she's driving her butt through a table and Anna Jay through concrete, and it's amazing. I love her so much. Every time she's out there, I can't get enough of her. She's positive. She's representation. She looks different, and she's beloved. She effing rules. I love me some Willow Nightingale. That figure is going to be day one.
Oh yeah. There's a lot of figures that we definitely need. Tony Khan, Jazzwares. I forget the Jazzwares guy. Jeremy P.
Padawar, I think.
Yeah. We need them to get on that. That Willow figure is going to be super legit. I can't wait. She's just amazing. And the fact that we have a Black woman not having to sort of fit into these tropes or stereotypes,
right.
of decades and years past. She's just a baby face that we want to root for. What you said about representation, etc. So astute. Yeah, man, I can't say it enough. I think Willow's just having a huge year. I'm so happy for her.
Well, she's not like small and jacked. That her beating Nyla, I was like, this is the matchup I've wanted to see for a while.
Yeah, shout out to Collision. Super fun.
Collision was a blast. Yeah, I know we'll have Collision thoughts later on in the third hour of the show. But the next matchup was also the longest match on the card. For me, it was the match I was most looking forward to, simply because I stayed up to watch Wrestle Kingdom. I knew there were 2 matches on that show, or 2 moments on that show. It was this match and the debut of Mercedes Moné. I wanted to see round 2. I wanted to see where it went. And I was as soon as I saw Don Callis come out with security, I was like, I don't want to see this. This isn't the WWE. Don't make it the WWE. Even when they wrestled the first time, Will could have had United Empire out there, unless they probably banned from ringside, but I don't remember it. So that bothered me. And then they let Don come back out. Why?
Thank you. Okay. Thank you. That's also why this I know I'm just totally stealing your light here. That's also why I'm choosing Forbidden Door 1 over Forbidden Door 2. When I tell you, Brad, I was so annoyed when that POS Don Callis came back out. What happened to when you throw someone out? They're gone. What? I know the Young Bucks were at this event. You're telling me the Young Bucks couldn't come out for the 15 minutes Don was out there for the second time and they couldn't take care of him, or Super Kick Party, the security guards? That really affected my enjoyment of this match. I mean, the match was a masterpiece. It was incredible. But the Don Callis and these 2 security guards who didn't even end up getting V-triggered by Kenny, they were just there. You got me going now, man. I really, this really hindered it for me. Honestly, I was, thank you for mentioning that. I was really annoyed by Callis being involved in such a big way in this match, especially when he came back the second time. I don't know if they've done this in wrestling forever and I've just ignored it, Brad, but I'm a believer in when you get tossed out, there is no option for you to come back. Get out of here with that nonsense.
Yeah, I didn't like that. I know they've done it before where people have snuck back and the ref didn't see it, but he just walked down the ramp. It would have been different if he came out like from the crowd and he was wearing different clothes and maybe a mask or something. It would have been totally different. Dressed like another security guard because they were bald. He could have easily done that. He could have put on like a black shirt and a black face mask and come out like, I'm extra security, but it's really just Don. What? It's so simple. And then he's out there and then it makes sense. But instead it's just Don in his big bright ass jacket. And I don't get it, man. I didn't like, so first of all, I didn't like that he was involved so much in the finish of the match. However, Kenny kicked out, which was a huge surprise. I was like, you can't end like this. This is stupid. And then he kicked out and I was like, get all the way out of here. And then Will killed him. But man, for me, outside of that part, this for me was the match of the night. I mean, I knew going in, it was going to be either the best match of the night or the second best match of the night. Which it was the best match of the night for me. I love the pacing. I was talking to Chuck about this while it was happening. What I love is that some people don't like Kenny Omega because he does like the posing and the pointing and all that stuff. I love it because it gives us movement between things. And it always feels like the match keeps moving, even though they stop moving. He's just kind of arms up in the air or pointing at where he's going to run. And then he does it, or taunting or whatever. There's always something happening. So there's never really any downtime. And when there is, you're like, oh crap, this is really slowed down. They must be really hurting. And then you're more invested in it. And that's sort of what happened in this match. The pacing was really good for this. I like that they slowed it down in the beginning. And then I'll always pop for Will, the double kick backflip off the chest. I love that move. He does that so perfectly. The taunting, the kicks. There were a couple of spots in there on the apron. I thought Kenny died. I thought the move on the steps. There were so many different spots. Kenny getting face planted into the sign on the table. It gave me shades of that Japanese table. Tyler, if you haven't seen that match in full yet, you gotta go find it and watch the full match. I know it's a commitment. You gotta do it. The stuff with that Japanese table that Will went through when Kenny was just smashing his face into it until it made a hole. And then Will was on the ground bleeding with like wood particles stuck to his face. Kenny holding up the table and going through the hole was amazing. So having seen that match and then getting to watch this and Will just going, you remember this? You remember this? it meant so much more. So I feel like anybody could have enjoyed this match and it was great. But for those people that got to see the original Wrestle Kingdom match, really felt like this was a direct sequel and not just another match in the feud. It felt like, no, this is part 2. That probably means there's going to be a part 3. There's got to be a part 3. And I don't know what kind of match that's going to look like. These guys have unbelievable chemistry. I can't say enough about how much I love this match. I'm going to pass it.
Did it meet your expectations? It sounds like it did.
I think it might.
That's
it choked me up.
It really did. It was that good.
Yeah, it was great. It was good timing by you there. It was yeah, it met my expectations. I don't know that it surpassed them, but it met them. I would say it would probably surpass my expectations if it wasn't for the Don Callis, Paul Heyman, I can't get the key to work moment where Don looked like.
How long was that?
Dude looked like he was pleasuring himself in his pocket while holding on to the ref. I was like, what the hell is this?
That's one way to put it. Yeah.
That GIF is going to go viral. It's going to happen of him just cranking in his pocket.
It felt like 15 seconds.
Oh, easily.
Easily.
It's probably 8, but it felt a lot longer.
Yeah,
right?
Dude.
It felt like he was there for the eternity.
Yeah.
Going,
yes.
You're welcome, YouTube.
In terms of my thoughts on this match, well, I mean, you laid it out really, really thoroughly there, and thanks for letting me get that off my chest at the beginning, because I was really thinking about it for the rest of the night. Yeah, these two have incredible chemistry. I saw that it clocked in at just under 40 minutes. The fact that Kenny kicked out at 1 after Will hit him with the one-winged angel was so awesome. I thought it was going to be over after Will hit him with the screwdriver. So the fact that we got a few more minutes of action and Kenny was able to look so heroic even in defeat was a great call. Yeah, man, this was fantastic. I would probably put it as my match of the night, but I say probably because the Don Callis part bothered me, and I really thought those 2 security guards were going to get V-triggered. That the fact that they went unharmed, I thought was a missed opportunity.
Yeah, I agree with that. I would have loved to see those jabrones, as MJF would call them, get kneed in the face or something. Something had to happen with them. They were just there, which I guess is fine. We always talk about realism in wrestling. If you're going to hire personal security, they're not going to get involved with the match unless they're wrestlers. That's the Carney stuff. So for them to just be straight up just security guards, I was kind of okay with that, but I would have loved to see them get kicked in the face. I'm with you on that. The next match scared me. It was a 6-man tag. It was Sting, Darby Allin, and Naito, and the Suzuki Gods, Chris Jericho, Sammy Guevara, and Minoru Suzuki. I thought this match was an absolute blast. I thought it was just fun. I got really scared and worried when Sammy missed. I think Sting might have gone down a little early, and then Sammy just landed straight on his head, and Sammy busted his mouth up. Sting busted his mouth up. He was bleeding pretty good. I don't know if you caught that when he sat up and he just bled all the way down. That was not a small amount of blood. And then Sammy had a bloody lip. So I'm just glad it looked like everybody was okay after that, because Sting isn't exactly, he doesn't have his best years ahead of him at this age. And I was like, oh man, I don't want an injury like this to be the reason that he hangs it up or stops. So I was really happy to see him get up, because he was down there for a while. And then when he got up, he looked tired, but he didn't look like he was super injured. And then I thought it was cool. I thought the crowd was weak and lame for this. I thought the moment of Sting and Chris Jericho finally being in a ring with each other, I mean, they're legends in the business, hardly a smatter of applause, like pretty lame kind of reaction for them. But Will and Kenny just finished, so maybe they just couldn't get up for it. But I thought it was fun. I thought it was I didn't have any questions about who was going to win this match.
Yeah, for sure. I thought it was also imperative to have the 4 pillars on this card in prominent roles, even if it's in defeat. So MJF was the only victor. Oh, no, that's a lie. MJF and Darby were the 2 victorious pillars.
Right.
Like you said, obviously Jack Perry lost and Sammy G did as well. But the fact that they were included on this card, really, really good luck, and just I think really important for the company moving forward. The match itself, yeah, that table spot was pretty gnarly, to borrow my man's term for sure. Jericho and Sting, yeah, there were several points in this match where they had moments baked in, and the crowd just, I guess it was fatigue. I'm not really sure, but the crowd was silent for portions where I was really hoping they wouldn't be. I'll never take watching Sting for granted, especially since we know that this is supposed to be his last year of in-ring action. But yeah, man, like you said, I knew that I had a feeling the baby faces were gonna get the W in this one, and the fact that Naito got it was kind of surprising to me. I thought Sting was gonna pick it up. That seems to be the case when he's in these multi-man matches. You sort of give the nod to him, but I thought it was I thought it was refreshing that Naito got to pick up the W for his team.
I agree. I thought this was. I thought if you go back in time, if you asked me like, who do you want to see Chris Jericho feud with, I never would have said Sting. Not in 100 years. I don't think so. I would have said all the smaller guys that he was already feuding with in WCW, and Goldberg. I wanted to see him and Goldberg. I wanted to see Goldberg kill Chris Jericho.
Right.
And I wanted to see that.
I know you did. Yep, I remember that.
I wanted to see that. I wanted to see that match. I think Goldberg. I wanted Chris Jericho and Bret Hart. Like I wanted feuds like that, and it just never happened. But I never thought Sting. But then when Sting went into AEW, I was like, oh, cool. You got a bunch of legends that work here. Chris Jericho can still go. And I at the time I was like, I don't know, Sting can go. Sting's 20 years older than Chris Jericho, or 15 years older, whatever it is, and has been he wrestled Ric Flair in feuds in the 80s for the NWA championship. This is not a young man. So
yeah, 64 years old.
Yes, I just it unbelievable for 64. He's
telling you, man, we got to cherish it.
Yes. I don't take it for granted at all, but I'm trying not to take Chris Jericho for granted either. Sure. Everybody's like, oh, I don't want to see him on my screen. And Jeff Jarrett, get him off my screen. I'm like, Jeff Jarrett's kind of really good at this. He's really good at this. He might have one of the best storylines going, one of the best factions, one of the best feuds, all of that stuff with Jeff Jarrett. Why? Because you hate his guts. You don't want him on your screen. You're mad at him for being on your screen. That's good. Because you want to see the other guy kick his ass. That's the point of wrestling. That's the whole point of pro wrestling. So having Jericho and Sting in there, we kind of wanted to see Jericho and Sting, but who do you root for? You want to see Sting win. Nobody's going like, I hope Jericho pulls out the win here. No, you want to see Sting win. You want to see Sting do it. I did pop for the Jericho Stinger splash, whiff in the corner. Big pop for me.
Yeah, he did the Sting, a shriek, the scream as well.
I would have loved a Sting foot on the chest. Come on, baby.
Yeah. Yep.
That would have been amazing as a taunt.
That would have been good. Yep.
But
I can hear the pop from Miranda.
I don't know if they'll run that back. I don't know if that'll ever happen, but I would rather see a Jericho Sting cinematic one-on-one. I think could be a lot of fun. But it was cool to get to see them in the ring at the same time and have those moments. I was really here for that. Maybe it's just because I'm of a certain age, but it didn't seem like the crowd was super into it. And that was really surprising to me. And a little disappointing, but maybe it's because of where it was on the card.
Yeah, I think so too. And we also got a Suzuki versus Darby face off, and Darby even hit Darby even hit the suicide dive on him. And there were a lot of cool moments. I thought, given where this was placed on the card, if there were any match that were going to be sandwiched between Ospreay v Omega and Danielson v Okada, I for sure think this was the right choice.
I agree. When Ospreay and Omega happened, I was like, okay, we still have that other match. There's no way. It's got to be next. It's a great palate cleanser.
Yeah.
In all fairness, I think the way that this was put together, this card was perfect. Yeah. I wouldn't move a single match around. Not.
That's saying something. Yeah, I thought it was incredibly logical. And regardless of which match you put in this position, I think it was going to be a tough ask, frankly. Not to totally absolve the Toronto crowd, but when they just went through Omega versus Ospreay, I think whoever was going to be in this spot, it was going to be a tough ask to get the fans fully invested. But all 6 of the performers rocked it.
Right. I do need to go watch the pre-show. Maybe Filthy Tom Lawler and Serpentico need to go higher on this list. Our main event, I did not see it, so I can't say. Our main event was Bryan Danielson defeating, which I kind of figured was going to happen, but I'm still surprised somehow. Defeating Kazuchika Okada. I don't know that this one's done, but it's probably done. This match had great psychology in it. It was not as fast paced as Will and Kenny, but I really liked this match a lot. This was a great match. All of it made sense. Attacking body parts, going for it, trying to counter each other's moves because they know them well. It was just so good. Again, the Bryan Danielson Zack Sabre Jr. match is going to be an all timer. I am convinced. But watching these two wrestle was great. I thought they had really good chemistry with each other, having never wrestled each other before. Pretty crazy, at least in this event. I don't know if they've ever locked up in any other arena before, but I don't think so. I think this is the first time they've ever wrestled a match. So I thoroughly loved this. I thought it was great. I'm not going to put it above Will and Kenny, but I thought this match was really great.
I would agree with you in that regard. I was not expecting Danielson to win whatsoever. I thought it was also a foregone conclusion that Okada was going to end the night victorious. So that surprised me when he tapped out. I was like, oh my gosh, this is over. This is a done deal. And Danielson is getting his arm raised. Like you said, this match was so different than Ospreay versus Omega. But when you talk about two pros, two of the best in the world, locking up and just putting on a show, Danielson and Okada for sure did that. My expectations were a bit tricky for this one because there was so much hype around this match.
Yeah.
I think my expectations were a bit unfair on these guys, especially given how we know both of them work and their styles and how their styles are going to potentially mesh. Like we said, it wasn't going to be the spectacle that Ospreay versus Omega was going to be. It was going to be much more technical, much more grounded in psychology and submission. And that's exactly what we got. It was a dream match. It was awesome. And I'm happy Danielson got the win. Like I said, that really, really stunned me. I did not see that coming. I thought the Rainmaker was going to close out the show with the win.
I had a feeling it might happen when Final Countdown started playing. When
the entrances, yes,
drop. I remember
talk about it.
Final Countdown at one point, and the amount of money that they were talking about throwing down for that it was like upwards of, I want to say $500,000 to get the rights to play it. So they're just like, no, we're not going to do that. And then they did it. It's going to happen, but they got the rights for it. They played it, and I'm like, oh, they're playing him out with this. He's going to win. Or something's going to happen at the end where they play it, because there's no way you got to play this song again.
That's a great point. I didn't think about that.
Yeah. Now that I'm saying this, I think maybe flip-flopping the two matches we just referred to might have made more sense, since there was no title on the line for Danielson and Okada. And there was for Will and Kenny. The only reason I think they didn't do that is because we've seen Will and Kenny before. And this is something we've never seen before, might never see again. It's a first time, and it is a legitimate dream match. And that's good enough for us, especially at the Forbidden Door. So I don't know. My expectations were really, really high, probably unfairly high. And I don't know that they superseded them. I don't know, or superseded my enjoyment of it, but it was so different after the really fast paced, really crazy spots. That Ospreay spot off of the rope on outside onto Kenny, onto the floor. We weren't getting a lot of that from Bryan Danielson and Kazuchika Okada. What we were getting is Okada's insane hops every time he did the shotgun drop kick, or the leaping drop kick. I don't know what you call that thing. Is he just goes in the air about 4.5 feet and then kicks people in the face.
Yeah, big guy as well, long legs.
He's a huge dude.
Yeah,
he's much bigger than Bryan Danielson.
Yeah, he is. That's a fact.
Yeah, but I thought the match was really good. I thought it was a good way to close up the show. I thought it was fun. They had me a couple of times. So all the the technical transitions that Danielson had into the different holds and the different locks, and the fact that he embraced the yes chant in a match this big was pretty cool.
That's a good point. Yep.
With his one arm while selling the other arm, which is why I liked this match so much. They were both like really playing up the injured body part stuff. I loved it. I was very high on this match. I don't know where I would rank it. I don't know that we need to. I just really liked it. It wasn't my favorite match of the night. It's hard to surpass Will and Kenny ever in any match, in any promotion, in any event. However, this was something. I thought the entrances ruled. I thought the stuff we saw was different than anything else we saw during the night. I thought it was great. I'm glad it happened. They gave him 27 minutes, and I think it was 27 minutes well spent.
Yeah, man. Before we leave AEW, how are you feeling about Collision? We're 2 episodes in, and I think both episodes have been really good, especially this most recent one in terms of the presentation of Collision, in terms of the stars that are being elevated. Brad, we got the Guns with another awesome entrance. You called this. This is giving me flashbacks to Jamie Hayter, similar and a little different. But in terms of the similarity or the thread being you sort of predicting how good these talents are before the general populace joins you, me being a part of that GP, you called the Guns being legit and having this much potential months and months ago. I remember when they beat the Acclaimed on Dynamite, they became champs. Really controversial decision. I was heated. I know I wasn't alone, but you were much more tempered and much more willing to embrace these guys. And I think now, of course, the entrances and everything, I think in ring they've really improved too. But seeing their entrance and seeing them officially join BC Gold, I thought of you and how once again you called it. You were right. Stars are born. It happened. And again, just going back to the question though, Collision, 2 episodes in, it's CM Punk show, but we also have Miro, we have Andrade. Hopefully we'll get more women on that card, including Thunder Rosa. How are we feeling about Collision these days?
I love it. So I think it was John Alba that said it on the Twitter, that it feels like an entirely different promotion. It's so different that it does feel like a different promotion. The way that it's set up, it's exactly what I was hoping would happen. I wanted it to feel like a big Saturday night, old school wrestling. That's what it feels like. They started the show with the interviews. They started them with like, let's have these guys do some promos beforehand. It freaking ruled. I thought the weird tug your testicles line, I don't understand that, but everything else about that, like, can we stop talking about balls on our, it's just
doesn't make any sense. Yeah.
No.
Nope.
All I could think of, I used the GIF from Friends of Ross Geller talking about tugging on his testicles.
I think I saw you post that.
Yeah. His mother told an embarrassing story about him when he was a child he got so mad that for attention, he pulled on his testicles and had to go to the hospital. And later in the episode, he's like, I am this close from tugging on my testicles again. So when CM Punk got up there and was like, tug your balls or something, I was like, excuse me, Ross, what is this? What is happening? What does that line even mean? Tug on your test? What are we doing here, Phil? This is gross. Stop it. What a weird way to start your second ever episode.
The fascination with the nether region just in wrestling. I don't, and the best of the best do it. CM Punk, again, Bryan Danielson, we've heard him mention that. WWE stars aren't immune to it. It doesn't work for me.
No, me either. It feels lazy. Yeah, however, I thought Collision was great. We're getting women on the cards. It's just so good. It's refreshing. It's new still. It's super exciting. It's apparently booked by AI. That's a thing that's happening. Wow. Tony Khan is legitimately using AI to help him book.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's helping him set it up. But Andy Nemedy, shout out Andy, was going through the process of how that has to be set up for it to be accurate. Follow him on Twitter and then find that thread if you want to. Also, thoughts out to them as he recovers from a medical thing. When I saw that, I was like, oh, this is really cool, because sometimes you just need it to get you started. Like, well, what haven't I done and what's interesting and what's new? Type. Oh, that's cool. I mean, if that takes the pressure off of you to help you get started, I don't have a problem with that. I don't see why not, because we're getting really cool stuff. Like, it's been really good so far. I don't know that aside from balls talk, I don't know, which we're a bit hypocritical here by talking about balls so much. But once again, I don't have anything negative to say about it. I thought the show was incredible. I thought all of AEW's shows this week were great. I thought Rampage was probably the weakest link, and it was an awesome show. So I don't really have anything to complain about, man.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, two other highlights for me were really Sky Blue also being a face of Collision thus far. She's been phenomenal, and Miro. Brad, the promo we got, the vignette, I should say, on Collision.
Goodness.
Renouncing his god, I think even renouncing his wife, one could say. He's just so focused on him right now in storyline. Doesn't need gold, just is out for pure destruction and domination. The way this was shot, the way he delivered it, I couldn't be a bigger fan right now of what he's doing. It's
great.
I think that's also a standout for me, is having Miro back. And again, another character shift for him, which I think is going to lead to just absolute greatness on Saturday nights.
And Andrade. I don't know what they do. They brought out his old mask to taunt him with it. And we know we're probably getting the eventual Andrade Malachi Black match, which is going to be, oh boy, in AEW with those characters. Because we know both of them, they've wrestled before, but I don't know what we're going to get now. I'm sure it's going to be better and way different, because how many pile drivers or brain busters did we see tonight?
So many.
Like
incalculable. Yeah.
A dozen at least. Right. How many have you seen in WWE in the last decade?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So there's stuff they're allowed to do that, for a safety standpoint, it's not safe. In fact, there was a moment in that match with Andrade where I thought he died, where Brody dropped him on his head.
The
right?
Death Valley driver into the corner.
Was
Brody is just a large individual and very good at wrestling.
Yes,
that makes me believe that everything going on is on the up and up. Yes. Like, oh my goodness, that dude is scary.
Yes, and he's
also like me, despises racists and transphobes. Yes. So that makes me love him even more.
Shoot, good dude.
Yeah,
like seems like an awesome dude.
Here for it.
Yes, absolutely. So he's he scares the crap out of me in that wrestling ring, and I love all of this. And anyway, in short, Collision rules. I think everything is really good there right now, and we're going to get into WWE talk as well, but not quite yet. Tyler, I don't know what to say about how much I like Collision, how much I liked Forbidden Door, how much I liked spending time with family to watch it together, because I like doing things together. And are you tired of placing bets alone and not having anyone to talk to about your predictions? Do you want to connect with other sports bettors and share your winning strategies? Look no further than Sharps, the social network for sports bettors. Tyler, before I continue the read here, I wish I would have done the DraftKings pool. I still would have lost, but I wish I would have done it. I always think of it during the event when it's too late to enter. Every single time, I got to remember for the next thing. For those of you that are bettors, AEW runs pools. So does WWE, usually with DraftKings, both of them with DraftKings. So next week, we have Money in the Bank coming up, and we will have, I'm sure, another DraftKings pick pool. So jump into that if you are a bettor. But with Sharps, you can connect with friends, see what they're betting on, and even interact with their bets. The iOS app connects to all major sports bets and daily fantasy platforms like DraftKings, FanDuel, BetMGM, Prize Picks, and Underdog. Here's the best part. If you download Sharps now and use the promo code WIND338, you'll receive access to the community to start showing off your betting chops. Man, I was going to say something here. I decided to leave it alone. I have not bet in a while, Tyler. My betting chops have not been shown off. Before I finish this read, you were going to come up with something for me to bet on and an opportunity to compare your bets with us. So what are you waiting for? Download Sharps today. Use your promo code WIND338 and start connecting with other sports bettors. Don't forget to share your winning strategies and interact with other users' bets. Join the social network for sports bettors and take your betting game to the next level. Tyler, what should I bet on this week?
Man, well, we got Money in the Bank coming up, and I
Gotta
think
be that, right?
it has to be that. Absolutely. The whole aura around the event sets itself up for gambling and taking risk, and I think it has to be Money in the Bank, unquestionably.
All right, that's what it'll be. I'll make sure to get that up on socials once I have the post. I'll link the Sharp stuff in, and hopefully we'll get some people involved. And if you bet or if you don't, you can start gambling your life savings away. And if you win big and you don't want to keep it, let me know.
Sounds like a fair deal.
I think so. Well, we already brought up Money in the Bank, and this weekend we have Money in the Bank coming up. We have a few things that happened this week for the build. Number one, I thought it was surprising news to see that SmackDown ratings were a little bit down this week as the Bloodline story seems to come to a head. Even though we know there's going to be at least a couple of months, probably more storytelling to be told here with the Usos, Solo, and Roman, and the Wise Man. But we also had what a lot of people went online to start ragging on Ronda Rousey. And you know that I haven't been the biggest fan of the way that Ronda's been presented in WWE, especially with asking her to do stuff that maybe she shouldn't be doing. It's always accentuate strengths and hide weaknesses, which is something Paul Heyman is known for doing and being an expert at. Ronda on the stick has traditionally not been great unless it's real. You let her talk, and she's an excellent talker. You give her a script. Well, we've seen what happens there. But I saw a lot of people talking about the very slow developing PoisonRonda, the PoisonRana that happened, and I believe Alba Fire. Right? Correct me if I'm wrong there. Yeah. And listen, man, that move takes two people to do it. And if you do it incorrectly, you're going to kill somebody or yourself trying to do it because your legs are around somebody's neck. And if they don't come with you, you're going to make them come with you if you attach yourself to it. And now we have a serious injury, potential death. And if the person doesn't rotate enough with you on the way down, they can also land on their head and die, or land on you and hurt both of you. So there's lots of stuff that needs to happen in a move like that. And I've never done it. It's not hard to figure that out. Just watching the stuff that these performers do, it's pinpoint and it's athleticism that most of us do not possess. So it makes me a little cranky when I see a lot of people on the timeline publicly talking about how bad stuff is. Accidents happen. This was not an accident. This was a successful maneuver. I don't understand what people are upset about. Like, did it look fast and crisp? No. She did it. Who cares? Maybe that's the way she does it. I kind of dig it that it looks different.
Yeah.
I don't know what your thoughts are on this, but
yeah,
I really didn't like seeing that, especially in a women's match.
For sure.
Bragging on that, it made me kind of mad.
Yeah, I don't know that you need affirmation on this, but I will gladly give it to you. I agree with you. I think too many people have too much time on their hands. To your point about, I think there's two factors at play here. I think one, as a fan base, we've become so accustomed to this ridiculous athleticism that we've seen in these moves, whether it's a PoisonRana or a Canadian Destroyer. I mean,
tonight too.
Yeah, we've seen Vikingo on our screens a lot over the last few months. Like, we just are so used to seeing athleticism that now we just expect every single match, but is just otherworldly. So the fact that Ronda's was perhaps a bit more slow developing, but was still executed and appeared that everyone was safe following the move, I would much prefer that. And I think what you said is just crucial. We shouldn't take their athleticism for granted. This isn't a video game where things are always going to be executed perfectly. These are real people with real bodies who are performing a match. So this is several minutes into a match. I don't know about you, Brad, but I'd be winded and probably wouldn't move as fast or as spry. But we're so used to these performers doing having these impressive acts. having these impressive acts that don't seem like they're performed by human beings like us. People have too much time on their hands. I agree with you. I'm not here for the the whole image of being overly critical of performers. Good for Ronda adding to her repertoire, and I saw no issue with it whatsoever.
No, I thought it was weird. Like, you can criticize the booking, you can criticize the scripts, you can criticize the stuff where it's like, okay, she's maybe not that great at this. Don't have her do these specific things. That's not her fault. That's not any of the talent's fault. That's what they're being asked to do. So when they're being asked to do something that maybe is out of their expertise, stop. But like when Johnny Tons of Fun in his mom's basement is criticizing the speed at which somebody does a poison freaking Rana in front of 8,000 people in the middle of a 20-minute match. Like, what? Shut up. Stand up. Do something.
Yeah.
Anything.
Yeah.
Roll over. Let us know you're alive. Stop typing.
Part of me wonders if some of the criticism too has to do with Ronda and how we know that she hasn't necessarily her relationship with the fan base has evolved over time and not necessarily in a positive manner. So I wonder if part of it too is because it was Ronda, were folks a little more prone to exercising their Twitter fingers and talking a little spicy. Well, not saying that justifies it by any means, but the performer at hand, I think, is also a part of this, because we know her relationship with some of the audience has been a bit tumultuous, to say the least.
I think the reason that I saw it at all was because of Shayna going to bat, saying like, why are you saying you can't wrestle? You wouldn't know the difference between a this move and a that move. I don't even remember what move she said. She's right. And it really sat with me, going like, yeah, Ronda could probably rip your arm out of your socket and then tear it off your body and beat you with it if she wanted to. And there wouldn't be anything you could do about it. Not a thing. And
it's a good reminder. Yep. Good PSA. Good PSA. She's a legit badass. Yep.
It's so Shayna. Why are you telling these people that could hurt you quite easily? That they're bad at their jobs? Like, what other profession does that? Well, I guess it happens in education. So what am I saying? That teacher is it's like, really, because your kid
call the Tom Horn hotline. We probably shouldn't get into that. This will be a 2-hour episode, but yeah, perhaps it does exist in other professions. Sadly, might I add.
Yeah. Not that we're at the well, we'll get into the what we miss in hour 4 of the episode, but this, I'm looking forward to Money in the Bank. I can't wait for that match. LA Knight once again coming out and proving that he deserves to be pushed to the moon sooner than later. Also talking about how it was probably his age, why he ended up being Max Dupree instead of LA Knight in a more managerial role, which nobody wanted to see. And I understand giving him a job and having him play a character that gets him on a screen. But man, LA Knight was right there. There was nothing wrong with it. And I think he's shown that he can do all the things. Another thing that I've seen is criticism of LA Knight being a diet rock, a discount rock, or he's just trying to be the Rock again. And I'm like, so what's your point? We don't have a Rock right now. So who the hell cares? So he modeled himself after that. Who gives a shit? You know how many wrestlers modeled themselves after Ricky the Dragon Steamboat? Countless. How many people are we out watching now that are like Bret Hart or Shawn Michaels modeled people? We have wrestlers that are very openly those things. Who cares? Who cares? Because he's really good at it.
He's great.
He's really good at it, Tyler.
He's great. And everyone, much like what did we say about Willow earlier, we're now at the point with LA Knight where regardless of the arena, the state, the country they're in, this dude is so over. Brad, I just hope that they do the right thing and put the briefcase on him this weekend. I swear to you, if Logan Paul ends up climbing the ladder on Saturday in the UK and wins this match, I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm not going to buy a Prime Energy drink. I'm probably not going to cancel my Peacock.
The maps where he could send Prime was pretty great.
And he is really good at this, which is infuriating. I'm not going to cancel Peacock. I like Dateline too much, and I do enjoy WWE, but I just think LA Knight is the clear choice, and I feel that way about Io on the women's side. I think there is reason to be hopeful. If we just go back to recent history in the Royal Rumble, there were two clear choices for the winners of the men's and women's matches, but clear or predictable outcomes are not always a bad thing. So Rhea Ripley for sure should have won the Royal Rumble match, and what do you know? She did, and now she's one of the biggest stars in wrestling. Cody Rhodes, I think he was the odds-on favorite back then, right? Back in January to win. He did the thing. He did not finish the story at WrestleMania, which you can go back in the GI vault and listen to our thoughts on that. But I think we do have reason to be hopeful that they won't do the wrong thing and go with Logan Paul. I think this is LA Knight's time, and I for sure think the briefcase is going home with Io Sky this weekend.
I agree with you 100%. Again, I don't think predictable is bad if it's done well. They can still make us think it's not going to happen. Plenty. I want to see LA Knight. I want to see him have his moment too. I also want to see them stop booking him as a heel. He's not. Just let the crowd roll with it. Stop it. Don't pipe in booze. None of that. You don't need to do that. Just let him keep talking to the wrestlers all disrespectfully that way and keep it away from the fans. Just ignore them. Have them participate and just don't talk directly to them. And it'll be fine. That's what The Rock did. He didn't really change. He just directed it all at wrestlers instead of directing it at the crowd. And when he was a mega heel, he sang his little song. You remember that?
Yes.
And just got booed out of the building.
Huge,
he was laughing.
Yes, huge fan. Those were yeah, man, no, you're on a roll here. I absolutely remember that.
And I think they need to just roll with that and let LA Knight be LA Knight. Push him. Everybody loves him. We want to see that. Right now, I don't know about merch sales, and I don't know about any of that other stuff, but I saw a lot of LA Knight stuff out in the crowd. I want to see him more than I want to see Cody, but I also don't think that he's delivering the kind of match that Cody's going to deliver. So there is that. But I would love to see a feud between those two. I think that could be awesome.
That'd be great.
Right. So I think on the mic, it would be a lot of fun. I think LA Knight and Seth would be a lot of fun. There's a ton of opportunities here to have LA Knight go to war with people on the microphone and having that briefcase and having interrupt people for the threat of doing it. I think would be great. I just want to see more. I can't wait for this because of him. Everything else, I just want to see those two matches, and then everything else I don't really care. But I really want to see LA Knight in that match, and I hope he wins that match. He could use that briefcase
for sure. How are you feeling about the Bloodline Civil War, that tag match that we're getting?
I don't know.
We know it's going to continue for several months, right? We're playing the long game here.
I'm now at a point where I don't care about the match. I want to see what happens after. So I think that's the point. I want the story more than I want the matchups with the Bloodline, where before I wanted both because the matchups were going to dictate where the story went. I don't know that that's true in a Civil War. Is the matchup going to dictate where the story goes? I guess we'll have to wait and see what they set up for us this week, what's said and what's dictated. Because if it's like if you lose, you're signing this agreement now that you acknowledge legally that he's the tribal chief or something, that would make sense. Or have offense, he could be there or something. But it's one of the, or Rikishi, it's one of those things where I don't know. I don't know what you do after that. Because what if the Usos win?
Yeah.
What if the Usos lose?
Yeah.
I don't know what you do.
Which way it's gonna go.
I don't know that it matters. That's the part that I'm like stuck with right now. I don't know what, like, the outcome doesn't really matter. It's them fighting. The only acceptable outcome is time limit draw, disqualifications, whatever. Because I don't know what the point is. Like, I don't really know what are the stakes other than bragging rights. That's kind of lame. This is Civil War.
You can always rely on the bragging rights in wrestling. Yep.
So if there has to be, they got to be putting something together for us. So before the match, there's like this is what will happen if, because right now I don't know what the if is. So I'm not super invested in it. I'm invested in the aftermath to find out, okay, now what? But it's going to be, okay, now what? Where do the teams go? Because that it feels kind of like, all right, the USOs win or lose. They just go off and do their own thing. I don't feel like that can happen, right?
No, not at all.
Yeah. So I'm excited to see. I think the matchup will be fun. I think it'll be like a big moment. And I think Jimmy and Jay getting the win makes the most sense as an outcome. And then maybe that turns Solo away from Roman because Roman blames him for it. And then we finally have the dissolution of the bloodline. So that's something like that has to happen. But again, that's why I'm excited for the outcome, not necessarily the match. Where there's other stuff where I can't wait to see the match. Like Money in the Bank matches are always fun. So
yeah, oh yeah, for sure.
The outcome could be really fun too. So with the bloodline, I'm only really interested in the outcome. So hopefully the story gets really, really told during the match and draws me back in. And I'm hopeful they'll do that because all the talent involved are great. But I'm not hopeful at the same time because at the back of my mind, and especially after hearing that Vince got involved with a lot of booking this week, up to Bailey going out and publicly marketing her match at the TV event, I think SmackDown, and then being pulled from the card entirely last second is terrifying to me. So if the event this weekend gets Vincified, I don't know. We'll see what happens.
Yeah. Well, hey, Brad, a few minutes ago, you mentioned, I heard merch. I heard you mention being given a platform. And it just so happens that we have all of these things in large part due to 19 Media Group. And we would like for you to celebrate 19's second anniversary with us. We're hosting a swag giveaway to thank you for your amazing support. You can win exclusive 19 Media Group merchandise like limited edition t-shirts, hoodies, hats, and more. To enter, follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube at 19M Group. Comment happy birthday on our anniversary posts. And just like that, you're entered. 3 ways to enter, 3 chances to win. The giveaway runs the entire month of June and ends on the 30th. That's coming up soon, depending on when you're listening. Winners will be contacted via DM. Engage with us for a chance to win these dope prizes. Thank you for being a part of our journey. Brad, you were mentioning Vince near the end. I'm just going to keep rolling with this. You were mentioning Vince.
That was on mute.
I don't like. It's funny how we just haven't talked about him and him being around. You just sort of want to forget about it. So I don't like the fact that his fingers apparently are remaining on the product that we see. However, something that I do like is the Bachelorette. And it just so happens that it is back this week, season 20. Let's go. This is also very convenient and very perfect because we have a segment here on GI that is specifically for Bachelor and Bachelorette talk. I think it is time, the return of a rose from Tyler, from me. Let's cue the music.
And now, for a rose from GI's most eligible bachelor.
All right, my man, let's get into it. Season 20 of The Bachelorette with Charity Lawson. I have a few notes that I want to run by you here. I first want to deliver a shameless plug. GimmickInfringementPod.com. You can find articles written by Brad and I about pop culture, wrestling, family, education, and a lot of other topics that I'm forgetting. One of our recent articles is our season 20 preview. Brad, I need you to know about some of these guys. I think we're going to love Charity. I think you may recall I speak very highly of her. She is just so good, and I think this season is going to be the best one that we've had since at least 2021. Here are some dudes I need to run by you. In our article, I listed some some award winners, if you will. The dude with the most outlandish job title this season is a guy named Chris from New York. He is listed as a world record jumper. Surprisingly, all of the other guys have relatively normal careers.
Oh, hold up. What do we mean by jumper?
That's a good question. I think in the Guinness book, I didn't even.
Like vertical leap.
I think so. Yeah. Like Guinness.
I'll look it up.
You should. Guinness Book of World Record Jones. I just saw the title and that was enough for me. Let me know what you find here though. Most likely fan favorites. I chose Khalid. His bio mentions that he enjoys SZA. He's also from Michigan, like my man's. So I'll be rooting for him. Most likely heel is a guy named Caleb B from Orlando. Believe it or not, Brad, he's listed as a professional wrestler. So he does this for a living. I think he's going to have a heel turn.
So before you continue,
please.
He has as of 2023, he holds 2 Guinness World Records in jumping, with his latest official record being highest standing backward somersault. A record set on November 6, 2021. The jump was 1.47 meters high.
I'm working on not being a hater. I mean, that's really impressive. This dude is definitely not winning anything. I could see him being bounced on night 1.
I really got to find the other one. Continue, carry on.
Committed to the bit. No, man. I'm gonna be quick here. I know that might be a surprise. Finally, my final 4 predictions for this season, based on the bio, based on what we've seen from the trailer. I've done a little bit of cursory research. Here are the dudes I'm rocking with. Final 4: Aaron B. He's a software salesman from San Diego. Michael, who's a yacht captain from Chicago. Peter, airline pilot from New York. And my final choice is going to be Taylor. He's a loan officer from Springsboro, Ohio. That's what I got, man. That's my preview. I'm so excited for Charity. I think this season is going to be much better than what we've seen recently. She kind of reminds me of Michelle Young in that she doesn't seem to bring a lot of drama with her, but I think we're still going to be very much entertained. So I hope you all will join the conversation. You know where to find us in that regard, at GIPod19. Let us know on Twitter. Let us know in the comments here on YouTube what you are feeling heading into the season and if you have any major predictions.
I'm reading this article. It's from BVM Sports. It's here are 5 facts about Chris. His full name is Christopher.
Damn, he's not with it, Brad. That solidifies my man's fate.
But I was like, why did you just what else be? Christopherson? Like what
I think they're trolling our guy here. That's a little disrespectful. I would feel the way about it.
His full name is Christopher Spell, and I get it, but that's not his full name. That's his first and last name. But anyway, he's 27. He broke the world record for highest standing box jump. He leapt 5'7". He leapt me, basically. I'm 5'8", but basically me. An impressive feat considering he's 5'9".
Wow.
Holy shit.
I just assumed this guy was over 6 feet.
I did too. He is.
Maybe
looking at this.
Got a roof for him.
This dude is absolutely yoked. If he coughs, buttons are going to shoot off his shirt and kill somebody.
So he's got a shot, actually.
Dude is jacked. Wow. Like all he has to do is like, it's just like, "Would you have any special skills?" We're like, "Yeah, stand there. I'll jump over you." Hand it to me easily. I'm sending you the link.
Maybe I had this all wrong. Maybe he will survive night 1. Tune into next week's GI to find out.
Well, yeah, we'll find out.
Yeah.
Tyler, we probably have a whole bunch we missed. But what do we?
Oh man, yeah, I had a whole thing of notes. I think that were on my phone, but I want to start by saying one of my favorite moments in AEW in a long time was the Anthony Bowens featured segment.
Oh, good.
From I think this was from Rampage this past week, where Harley Cameron came out and sort of and tried to, I guess you could say, seduce him in the ring, and he in no uncertain words said, "Don't you know? Can you see by the gear? I'm gay." Said it proudly and loudly in the ring.
I'm gay.
I'm
very
gay.
Emphatically like that.
Yes, and Brad, the crowd cheered for him.
They popped off for that and chanted, "He's gay," positively. This was an attitude era.
Yeah, this was this was really, really big. I know Anthony Bowens tweeted about it, and there was other discussion in the community, but just such a good indication of where we're at, and I think who we hope to be, and really the best of wrestling fans. You and I have lamented about some of the worst of wrestling fans on this edition, on previous editions of GI. So it's nice to actually see something super, super positive, especially this month. A few notes that I had: Chris Paul officially traded from the Phoenix Suns. I'm sad about it. I'm a CP fan. I know he's a polarizing guy, but I really value what he brought to the Suns. So sad to see him go. He's now on the Warriors somehow, and I have a lot of Warriors fans in my life who have been talking real reckless about CP the past 3 seasons. So we will see how they feel now moving forward. I'm just saving receipts. Yes, I'm talking about the Mike Steffs of the world. I'm just saving receipts because I'm eager to see how they maneuver moving forward. The Phoenix Mercury parted ways with their coach Vanessa Nygaard. The Mercury are absolutely awful this year, Brad. They're 2-10 as of this recording, and they're just not good. No Hard Feelings is in theaters, starring Jennifer Lawrence. Might have to see that. It looks super funny. And finally, speaking of the cinema, Black Ice documentary about Black hockey players, the history of Black players in hockey, as well as the future of the sport. That hits theaters next month. It's specifically an AMC property. Drake and Future are producers of it, and it looks super powerful. So I know I sent you that link. I believe you have thoughts on it, but I want to put that on the radar of our supporters because it's called Black Ice. And I know it's something you've really been yearning for a long time. And I think it's just going to be really, really, really powerful.
Yeah, I've been excited for something like this for forever. It's so long overdue. I think I saw LeBron was one of the producers on there too.
Yeah. Yep. Good call.
There's a lot of prominent Black men that have been kind of partnering to make this thing become a reality. I'm sure women as well. PK Subban, I saw him on there. I was like, oh, I hope they got PK because like he's the one that I think we think of first. He's not first, but he's the one that has been probably most present in our modern hockey minds for even people that are casual fans or just know that it exists. You've probably seen PK because he stands out in that group. And that's why this has been so important that it happens. It's part of the reason that I don't like watching hockey very much. It's just so limiting. It's not just people of color. It's all the socioeconomic problems that are associated with that. Because if you're talking about areas that have access to ice rinks and things like that, you also have to have people that have access to money because ice is expensive. Keeping the rinks is expensive. And let's face it, the wealthiest people in cities where there are hockey rinks, they're probably white people. And having access to that and then going like, well, I don't want to do it because I don't have representation at the ice rink. I don't want to be the only one there. Those kinds of things takes a certain level of bravery for people to even commit to go do that, for the parents to be behind them, to let them know, hey, you're probably going to be facing a lot of stuff. And to see that this documentary is going to highlight what some of the struggles were and the rich history of Black hockey, especially in Canada, where there were Negro leagues early on, very much like the MLB. And we get to see what happens now. And we have Negro League merch every year, like the Detroit Stars, and all the other teams. We get to see them being highlighted now because they weren't back in the day, but having their voices heard. I know we talked off air a lot about having voices heard. I'm just so excited that we could see something like this, and hopefully this kind of builds a transition or a change in the sport and gets kids that aren't just white kids to be excited to play hockey and invest their time in hockey, because hockey freaking rules, man. Like, hockey is so much fun. Going to a live hockey event is unlike any other sport. I'd go to that 10 out of 10 times over any other sport. If people were like, yeah, I got NFL tickets this week, or I got Wings and Coyotes, I'd go to the Wings and Coyotes every time. NFL games live are boring. There's so much media downtime and stuff. So live hockey events, especially when you get into the collegiate level. God, college hockey is fun to watch. Man, it's fun to watch. Even good high school teams, it's so much fun to watch, but not a lot of representation. So yeah, I have thoughts on this. I will be seeing this. I'm sure there will be a GI at the movies, and then my dissertation following, much like this one. The only thing I really have to add for what did we miss this week, I did want to bring up Trinity, and I don't know the guy's name. I don't know if you saw my tweet because I felt the way about this. It's
I did see your tweet. Yeah, I didn't ask you about that.
I don't know. I don't even know who the guy's name is. It's Jay or Jai Vidal. That I didn't watch it. So.
Yeah. I remember him from the one episode of Impact I watched, Trinity's debut promo. Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I don't really have a problem with intergender matches. They're not super for me when it's one-on-one. Like I feel like in the indies, it's a great draw. Is like let's have. I feel like that's great, but on a main thing, I don't know that it always works unless it's a special event or it's somebody. I don't know. Maybe it worked. I didn't see the build, so I have no idea. He seemed like a smaller dude that would have matched up well with her, so kind of okay. For those of you that don't know what I'm talking about, he slapped her in the face as part of it, and I didn't really like that. I felt like that was one of those spots that it could have been anything else. For me personally, I think getting suplexed, doing stuff like that, like a Stone Cold Stunner or a Rock Bottom on China was fine. Chris Jericho wrestling China was fine, but even then it was like, dude, you punched her, you hit her or whatever. It's like, yeah, she told me to. We can't see that. Other people can't see that. And then it just looks really bad. And I think it was a really, really bad look to have her get slapped in the face. Here's the problem. Like everybody for that 24-hour stretch was talking about that. So if the goal was to get a conversation started and get eyes on Impact, mission accomplished. I don't know that I would ever do that. If I were the booker, I would never let that happen. And if that was improvised, on the fly in that moment, it would be, you're not on TV ever again. I'm sorry, you're out of the company, and I'll pay whatever I owe you remaining, and then you're gone. But it's such a bad look. Which says to me, since he's still employed and there hasn't been an announcement of a suspension or anything, that was planned. Everybody was consenting. Everybody was okay with that, and it's fine. Professional wrestling is one of those weird businesses where it's like, it's violence, it's theater, it's acting. Sometimes it's not. And blurring those lines is where we find a lot of intrigue. I don't know that this is one of those places, but I'm also maybe older, and I don't, if there's a younger audience watching that, maybe they're fine with it. Wasn't for me. But I did see a lot of conversation around that, which I think is good for Impact. People were talking about Impact being reminded that it exists over on Access. But it wasn't for me, Tyler. I don't know what your thoughts are on that or intergender wrestling as a whole or anything of that matter. The more women on TV getting time, the better. But I don't know that this was the best way to do that.
Yeah. I have complicated thoughts on intergender wrestling. It's not my favorite. I don't know that I'm vehemently opposed to it. Like you said, we see it primarily on the independent scene, but definitely
mixed tags. I love.
Yeah, absolutely. Mixed tags are great. I think that Nia Jax spot in the Royal Rumble from a few years ago was really fun.
Beth Phoenix.
Beth Phoenix. I think you and I also popped for Rhea Ripley when she, does something against a guy,
tosses dudes around.
That's really impressive. We know Bianca Belair has picked up Otis a few times, or once or twice. But yeah, obviously what you're saying is very different from this recent example. Like you, I'm not a huge fan of it, but I also recognize that I can be a bit hypocritical because I remember in Fast X, you may recall that I did see that film. Speaking of GI at the movies, one of the more recent segments, I recall that there were moments of dudes in that film, in combat with women. So it's like on one hand, I saw that happen, but then also when I see it in a wrestling ring, I'm not necessarily loving it. And to me, both are entertainment and both are are forms of art. So I don't really know where I stand on it. Do I yearn for it? Do I search for intergender matches on YouTube? No and no. But to your point about that clip that you saw and shared on Twitter, shared your remarks on, yeah, I agree with you that I wasn't a huge fan of seeing dude just slap Trinity like that. So it's not for me. And I wonder if we're ever going to reach a place where intergender wrestling makes it on one of the uh, big primetime shows like a Dynamite or like a Raw, because we haven't seen that. And frankly, Brad, I don't know that we ever will. I still think that's a line that advertisers are really, really uh, uncomfortable crossing,
Yeah.
even though we know it's scripted and it's entertainment and, you know, hopefully folks are consenting to it. I don't think we'll ever see that on one of the major platforms, major networks, you know, signature shows.
Yeah, when there's pushes for mental health and people getting recovery for abuse, and then you cut it over to a shot of somebody getting slapped in the face by somebody of the opposite gender, that's not a female to male slap, it's the other way around. That's, again, it's they're consenting, they're performing, probably consenting and performing. Again, we don't know, which is why it might be more problematic for people watching it to assess how they feel about it. Because sometimes it's like, I don't know how I feel about this. There was a moment tonight, I can't remember where it was, where I went, I don't know how to feel about this because I'm really uncomfortable, because I don't remember who was selling that they got hurt. It might have been Ishii. I don't remember. Somebody got dumped on their head and they sold it like a lot. And then they were dragged back and then they were fighting. I was like, I don't know. This is starting to feel icky when I was watching it. And I went like, that's when acting went too far for me.
Yeah, and Danielson was convulsing on the mat.
Yes.
I didn't love that. I mean, I could kind of tell, like, oh, I'm 85% sure he is just working.
Subtle
But-
though. Like he didn't go crazy with it and over the top like Vince,
Yeah, I didn't.
you know.
I thought that
It
a
was
bit
like
fun, too.
subtle twitching and stuff. And I was
Mhm.
like, oh no.
Yeah.
Because he's legitimately had injuries. And
Yeah, and he does that just to mess with fans. He has a history
Right.
of doing that, where he's just playing on our emotion and love for him, which I don't appreciate, Bryan Danielson. If you are listening to this, but you're still one of the greatest. There's no.
I wonder how many people are listening to us at an hour 50 plus right now.
This is up there on one of the longest episodes. This is. When's the last time we went almost 2 hours, Brad?
It's been a long time. We've
2021.
kept it under an hour or at an hour for the last couple of months, I think, where we were like, no, we're not going to go over an hour. And now we're almost 2. We're pushing 2 here. There's a lot to talk about this week. It's really difficult. We didn't talk about ROH at all.
No.
We didn't talk about we don't talk about ROH or New Japan or Impact or any of the other things, but when it's in the news, it's hard to ignore. We did kind of talk about New Japan. It happened at the same time as AEW. We had a lot of TV to watch this week, a lot of content to get through. So we had a lot of content to deliver.
Yeah. You know, we always do. I appreciate you so much, man. Easy for me to say. This was an absolute blast. It's a busy summer for you and I personally. Busy summer wrestling and entertainment wise, but I'm so grateful that I get to do this with you. We are so grateful that you are here. If you haven't already, I encourage you to check us out on Twitter. You can find Brad at WindDuster. You can find me at Tyler J. McDowell. Once again, thank you for being here, and we will see you again soon. Gimmick Infringement is a part of 19 Media Group. You can listen to us on Apple, Spotify, iHeartRadio, or wherever you find podcasts. You can also find us on YouTube via the 19 Media Group channel. Please like, subscribe, comment, and share.